What's up, everybody, and welcome back, in a sense. My name is Dillon, and I am the co-founder and fool here at Unfound Adventures, and it has been a while since we have been putting video out for our community to take in and learn more about us, and that's on me. Putting ourselves out there 2.5, 3 years ago is a scary thing, and we wanted to tell you all about our world. And then we just started building and gaining momentum. And I let this platform of YouTube kind of fall to the wayside. And it's such a great place to interact with our community. I want to bring it back. So in this video, I want to kind of reintroduce myself. I want to let you know what we've been building at Unfound Adventures for the last 2.5, 3 years now. And then I want to tell you what we have going and how you can be a part of what we are now calling our interactive fantasy world. We want to create a community. We want to create a world. We want to create stories with you all. We want to imagine with our community. We want to teach the power of imagination and creativity to the next generation, pass that torch on, and we want to re-spark it in this generation. So, with all that said, let's dive in. For those that don't know me, my name is Dillon. Like I said, co-founder of this world. Uh, I'm from Port Huron, Michigan. I have been fortunate enough to travel around the country and around the world with my background in both sales, managing, and consulting. I lived all throughout the United States, working in places like Minnesota, Texas, Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland. I lived in Colorado, as well, and then was a transformational sales consultant overseas, working with social enterprises in developing countries. I lived in Kenya with my then girlfriend and now wife for 3 years. I worked all throughout East, West, South Africa, and Southeast Asia. Learned a bunch about businesses from solar to microfinance to agriculture. And I just learned the two things really: the beauty of frameworks, the beauty of giving people a lens to look at a concept differently so they have a sandbox to play in. And the other thing I learned in my travels is a bunch about mythologies, religions, stories, and ways of life that I wanted to tell to the next generation. I've always been a fiction nerd. I'm a huge anime, manga nerd. I'm always uh, consuming this stuff, finding myself in characters, and we want to do the same thing for other people out there. So I started creating a story. Now it has been almost 10 years ago, living in Kenya. And I created this world and this cosmos that was the first parts of Unfound Adventures. It wasn't even called that way back when. And I continued to walk my path and met partners along the way. I met an illustrator who is now the co-founder of Unfound Adventures, Matt Emery. You're going to see more videos from him. We met a mentor that would read our material and give us feedback. He's a multiple-time USA Today best-selling author, and he tore down our work so we could make it better. And we've been building and deconstructing and reconstructing this world now. Matt and I, for the last about 5 years, 6 years, we started talking to you 3 years ago on this world of Unfound Adventures and our comics, Tales of Bestunia. Bestunia exists in the world of Unfound Adventures, exists in the cosmos, I should say, of Unfound Adventures, and it is a world where the premise is simple. What if you knew your destiny in this lifetime, your life's purpose from the moment you were born, and that totem stayed with you for your entire life? People in our world are born with a spiritual beast called a calling that represents their path and their God-given masteries to give to their world. And the more they lean into it, the more their calling, this spiritual totem, matures and grows and becomes badass. Think of it like Pokemon, except for evolutionary stages. It just ages, it matures beautifully. So that's what we were bringing to you years ago. And we have videos you can go back and watch to learn about the ancient history of the cosmos and the history of the world of Bestunia, its rise and its fall. Now, what have we been doing for the last 2.5 years? Well, a bunch. First off, Matt and I found an illustrator, Evan Winston, out in San Francisco. He's been an art director on multiple projects. He decided to come on and he loved the concept of what we were trying to create. And he helped us put together our first now 3 comics in the world of Bastunia in modern day time in Bastunia. What else do we do? We started speaking to schools and telling them about our world of Bastunia, and it raised questions from the kids. Kids started asking, "Ooh, what would I be like in this world?" So we used that framework brain that I developed, and we started asking them questions. Would you be a builder in Bastunia? Would you be an explorer? Would you be a defender? And if so, which beast type would you be? And if you'd like to know what your beast type could be, just feel free to say something in the comments. What does my calling look like? Beast type, and we'll reach out to you. We've now created worksheets that we use with teachers and kids alike to figure out what their unique calling is. We've now worked with over 1,000 students. We get paid to speak at elementary schools now and teach them the importance of imagination and creativity, number one. And then we teach them how to understand what their calling would look like in our world. And in a sense, understand who they are as a person, right? It's that third degree of separation where we can look at our fantasy world and find ourselves in, parents and kids alike. I'm looking over here to see what else we've been doing. We started a children's book series, The Adventures of Beck and Keith, to reach the young guys and to have parents be able to create stories for their kids. We'll get more into that in just a bit here in the video. We also created an origin novel so we can tell you the history of our world in an actual thick novel, over 500 pages. Matt Emery has put together. It is a work of art. You're going to love it. It's coming in the next couple of months here. Final edits are in. And then we're looking to get a really good cover created by Evan. It's called Harbinger. Matt also created a mystery novel. It's going to be a series of novels called Behind the Shroud, which has 2 main characters based off of us, him and myself. And we leading from the front are throwing ourselves in this world. We also gained the attention of a Hollywood screenwriter that loves what Tales of Bastunia has to offer, and he's teaching us the concepts of screenwriting so we can potentially get this on the big screen. Matt and I trying to keep a good head on our shoulders, not get too excited, and keep that as the long-term goal of what we're doing here. And then we brought more people on the team. We started putting ourselves out in different social platforms, and we found other illustrators and now writers that want to give their masteries a shot in our world. That's what we've been doing. Now, moving forward, we got a lot going on, and we want to help our followers conceptualize what it is that we're building and what outlets we're using to build this in. So at its heart, like I said before, we are creating an interactive fantasy world for people to both lose themselves in and find themselves in. To go deeper, we really have 2 outlets. Number one, we're reaching creative parents and we're teaching them the power of imagination, creativity, and storytelling to help them first connect with themselves and their kids deeper. Using allegories, using symbolism that we see in fantasy, our world, or any fantasy that's been written or put on the big screen to help get to know your kid deeper and what it is that they love, and get to know yourself deeper and what it is that you love. That's one side. And then the other side is we're reaching creatives that want to test their goals, really flex their masteries and come into our world and not only be able to ask questions and add to what we're building, see if they want to take on a project themselves. We already have one of the first people we brought on the team testing his mettle in a solo RPG, which we'll get to in just a second. Because really right now, I want to tell you about really the 5 main outlets that we have so we don't fully confuse you here. Tales of Bastunia has 5 outlets for people to dive into. Number one, we have our comics, the Tales of Bastunia. It follows our main protagonist in the most recent part of the timeline, Joan Daniels, and her path throughout life, born without a calling and magically been given the lost god of this world at age 13. Her her unwanted mentor of a father, and her comic relief friend that she doesn't believe is a friend go on a wild adventure once this god arises in their life to understand the world that they live in and bring back unity to this fractured society. That is also what we're going to be working on with an animated series, working with Jonathan Stewart, who has been the screenwriter. He's part of Pixar's Brain Trust back in 2016, 2018, and has worked on things such as Cars 3, Angry Birds 2, Smallfoot, and a couple other animated series. Within this comic world, this is where we put together school workshops and we tell them about our comics where kids can create their own calling. So part of our comic world is you can create your own calling in our world, and we will give it to our illustrators to bring to life for you in our world. You can also create your own Azigra. Azigra you'll learn throughout this wild adventure that we have. They're the main antagonist, this cosmic threat from the outside world that comes into Bestunia. And they represent our fears. They represent our anguish. It's a way to symbolize the challenges that we have in our lives. And some people are going to be able to create their own story, their own characters, their own story within our world. That's what we're working on with young kids, but also you could be 30-some-year-olds and find that awesome. Let us know, and we'll reach out to you and tell you how we can figure something out. We want to work with y'all. The other thing that we have going is our novels, right? We have an origin novel with Harbinger, and it's going to be a series. And we also have our mystery series of novels called Behind the Shroud. And in that, we want to work with you all. As you can see over here, I'm looking at my whiteboard. We want to work with you all to create characters. The main character of our origin novel, Argus, was created by one of our followers. We jumped on a call with him and asked him questions to see how he would personify himself in a world like this. And then we brought it to life, adding our own spin to this. You don't have to be the best to work with us. We can ask questions to help you find yourself in our world. And then finally, we have The Adventures of Beck and Keith, which is our children's book. Shouldn't say finally because we have one more thing. We have our children's book as well. We have two more things. I'm nervous. I'm still nervous talking to you guys. Third thing is children's book. First thing is comics. Create your own calling, create your own Azigra, create your own character and story. Second thing is novel. Create your own characters that we can feature in our writing, or maybe you create your own story within those parts of the timeline. And then we have third, our children's book for young kids, The Adventures of Beck and Keith, which actually features my son, Keith, and one of my good friend's sons, Beck, real name Beckett, and their adventures of meeting new people and new cultures and learning new deep lessons that are really for the parents, but the kids love the pictures. And within that, we work with our following young parents that say, hey, I want my toddler personified in a book, right? You can work with us, although it is a fee to bring to life, we keep it as minimal as possible, to have your kid have their own character in our world and or their own story that is specific to them. We have one of our followers, Justin, has sponsored one of our Kickstarters to have a book come to life for his kid, Lucas, who we will now be calling Luca the Lightseer. And he will be in book 2 of The Adventures of Beck and Keith. So if that interests you, you like talking, like reaching the young kids, you have a young kid of your own and bring their imagination and their world and their life to life in our fantasy world, let us know. Fourth up, we are creating a solo journaling RPG. For those that don't know, think Dungeons and Dragons meets practice your storytelling and writing skills. We are giving you a book created by one of our illustrators that will tell you about our world, where you can create your own character, where you can create their own stat blocks, and you can figure out what your external adventure are and your internal nature is, and you can come up with your own calling. Again, we can create that calling for you if you want. If not, you can keep it right up here. And then we're going to give you prompts, your end goal, and the checkpoints along the way where you can lose yourself in and create your own story that if you want to send to us to bound up and send back to you, we can. Or if you want to keep it for yourself, you can as well. And there will be expansion packs in the future that come with our solo journaling RPG. And then finally, our fifth platform is just these social media. outlets. We're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook. We will throw our link tree in the description below. You can follow us on all platforms, on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts. We have Reels, Shorts, TikToks, whatever, to help parents connect deeper with their kids through the power of storytelling and imagination. On Instagram and on Facebook, we'll update with pictures and write-ups of where we're at in the process. We'll ask you all questions, and we'll create an interactive community. And then finally, we have a website, unfoundadventures.com. You can check out. We have a regular blog that's now on there, and a store where you can purchase any comics, novels, short stories, or children's books, or have your own calling created. You can reach out to us there, or you can reach out to us here. That is the wild journey we are creating. We thought to ourselves, yeah, it'd be great to tell our story, but how cool would it be to create a world and a lore where others can tell their story? Because in our opinion, and my deep, deep, deep desire is to promote what we call boundlessness to the world, to get to a place where I don't know where I stop and you begin. And I don't mean physically, I'm not a yogi or anything, but I do mean conceptually, mentally, emotionally. Like, if I can teach something on these videos or in our books that you guys take into your life, in a sense, that's a piece of me that's with you. And we want the same thing that you can do for other people out there. Like, that's how we leave our mark when it's all said and done. And if you need a sandbox or a playground to play in, that's what Bastunia is. And that's what it can be for you. We hope you like stuff like this. We hope you're willing to come along the journey with us. And we hope you're there to be vulnerable enough, courageous enough to ask us questions along the way. We hope you like this, and we'll see you in future videos. Take care.